Hi everyone, Brandon from Brandon's Baseball Cards here. Um, Tonight I decided to make a video because I've watched a few videos in the last few days that have really exposed uh, the depth of the PWCC PSA card trimming fiasco, and it's been exposed that not only are a lot of vintage high value cards being were altered and sold by PWCC, but that a lot of less expensive cards have been altered. And in particular, I wanted to talk about a video that I saw from Vintage Card Curator because it just really struck me the magnitude and the depth of this situation. And I think as a hobby, this is a really important issue, and I think it's time for us to reflect on the hobby and what it means to be a part of this hobby. Because the fact of the matter is, a lot of people are in this just for the buck, right? Um, I saw the Blue Jacket 66 video where he received an email from Brent Higgins about his 69 Topps Roberto Clemente card, right? And he said in something he said in that video really resonated with me, and that some people will do anything for a buck, right? And that's really what it comes down to. Some people will do anything for a buck, and wherever there is money to be made, the cockroaches tend to follow, right? But in regards to what I think this means for our hobby, right? I'm really torn. I'm honestly really torn because I don't know if we should. Uh, I mean, it's not in us to stop collecting, right? Collecting it's in your heart, right? It's something, especially if you're not in this for the money. If you do this because you love the game and you love the process of building a collection, right? As most of us do, uh, then it's not something you can just turn off in the face of a scandal and say, well, I'm done. The heck with this. I'll never collect again. Right? It's in you. It's part of who you are. And so I don't know. This sounds bad, but I don't know what it would take for me to stop collecting. Right? Even PSA graded cards. Right? And a lot of us were very critical of PSA, but we're still buying PSA graded cards. Most of the cards in my collection are PSA graded cards. Right? So what does it really mean? What does this scandal really tell us that we didn't already know? People will do anything for a buck, and I'm going to keep collecting. I'm going to still collect PSA graded cards. At some point, will I probably purchase an altered card? Probably, right? But what do we do? Do we just turn our back on the whole system? Do we just say, well, we can't trust anyone, so what's the point in having graded cards, right? Well, at that point, what's the point in buying raw cards? Every raw card you buy could be altered, right? You're just as likely to purchase. It seems like now you're just as likely to purchase an altered card either way, whether you're buying it graded or raw. So if we're going to go down the rabbit hole and worry about the cards that we have and if they've been altered in some way, then what are we left with? It's a hobby. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to pass the time. It's meant to bring us together as a community. And so I'm really, while I will never ever buy a card from PWCC ever, right? And I think anyone that continues to purchase their cards and to bid on their cards, well, then you're contributing to the problem, right? You're rewarding malfeasance. You're rewarding greed, right? The only thing we can do is control where we spend our money and control how we spend our money in the hobby in particular, right? And so you can control the dealers you buy from. You can control the auction houses that you can sign with. So if you can sign with PWCC, stop it, right? You may get 10% more for your item with PWCC, but for the sake of the hobby, stop it. Just stop. Because if enough people stop consigning with them, then that's the only way that there's really ever going to be a change, right? We can stop bidding, or people like me, myself, can stop bidding, and Baseball Collector and others have pointed out, that they're not going to bid on PWCC items anymore. We can stop that, but as long as there are some willing to bid and people willing to consign, the company's going to continue to operate. And who knows, maybe there's cards being sold right now that have been altered, right? All we can do is control where we spend our money in this hobby. And so the only thing that we can really do is buy from dealers you trust, preferably not PWCC, right? Buy from dealers you trust and enjoy the cards you have. And if something does come up with a card that you own, then deal with it in turn, right? But we can't turn our backs on this hobby. It's too much fun. It's one of the greatest hobbies out there, in my opinion. I'm very biased in that opinion, but it is. It's one of the greatest hobbies out there. It is so much fun. That what can we do other than stop consigning with PWCC and stop bidding on items from PWCC? Stop completely, right? That's all we can do. And then as the scandal continues to be exposed and as more and more trimmers are identified, they need to be handled accordingly, right? And if other auction houses, if it comes out that other auction houses have engaged in this behavior, treat them the same way that we treat PWCC, right? We reject the people that do this, right? The people that are driven by greed. And we don't like what you're doing to our hobby, but we're going to continue to pursue our collections. We're going to continue to collect vintage baseball cards because it's fun and we love it. And that's really all, to me, that's all we can do. And I apologize if this video is kind of rambling, but I really wanted to weigh in on this because as I've in the past few days, a lot of these videos have come out, and PWCC is obviously still very much in the phase of contacting people that they think have purchased altered cards, and I think it's a very important moment in our hobby, and I think that we need to reflect, but we really just need to continue to enjoy the hobby that we love and be very, very selective about who we purchase cards from. Buy from a dealer you trust, and enjoy the cards that you have. And if someday you do end up with a card that's altered, I mean, get a refund and move on, right? And Blue Jacket 66 said that essentially in his video that he made a few days ago about his 69 Topps Clemente. If he was going to essentially just move on with the hobby, and I think that's exactly the right attitude to have. And if anyone else out there is dealing with this, or if anyone else has been contacted by PWCC, feel free to comment. I'd love to engage in a discussion with you guys. But thanks for subscribing to my channel. I now have 20 subscribers, which is not a lot compared to a lot of you guys out there. But it's a start, and I hope the channel keeps growing and keep collecting vintage baseball.